Power that does not make me babysit circuits. That is what won me over here. When the grid drops, I push one button, flip my transfer switch, and my house just behaves like a house. This is the DuroMax XP13000EH. It is a dual-fuel portable generator aimed at people who actually need whole home-style backup without moving to a permanent standby unit. If you have a larger home, a detached garage, or an apartment over the garage like I do, and you want the choice of gasoline or propane, this sits in a sweet spot. It is not a quiet little camping inverter. It is a serious machine built to carry real loads for real stretches of time. The design is straightforward in the best way. It is an all-metal frame with big no-flat tires and a solid handle, and that matters because the unit is heavy. I can roll it over gravel and wet grass without fighting it, and the frame gives me something to grab when I need to bump it up a step. The fuel selector and the choke are obvious. The electric start is a simple push button, and the power panel is laid out like someone who actually uses tools drew it. I get a 240-volt outlet that is ready for a transfer switch with a 50-ampere plug, a mix of household outlets with ground fault circuit interrupter protection and clear breakers. No guessing. No tiny hidden toggles. The metal feels like it can take a hit. There is no fragile plastic hanging off the corners. Setup was refreshingly normal. I attached the wheels and the handle, filled it with oil, connected the battery, and added gasoline. On first start, I used the choke, pressed the button, and it fired in a couple of seconds. On propane, I connected a regulator to a cylinder, turned the selector to propane, and it behaved the same way. The only real difference is that propane wants a touch more patience on a cold morning. Once running, the idle control keeps the engine tone reasonable when loads are light. It is still a large open-frame generator, so it is not quiet, but the sound is a low, steady thrum rather than a harsh buzz. I can hold a conversation near it without shouting, and with it parked outside the garage, the noise fades into the background indoors. The power delivery is why I picked this model. 13,000 starting watts and 11,000 running watts are not just big numbers on a box. They translate to real appliances starting together without drama. My well pump, 2 refrigerators, a freezer, a gas furnace blower, lights, and the microwave can all live on at the same time, and the voltage needle barely twitches when a motor kicks in. I am careful with resistive hogs like an electric water heater or an electric oven. I run those one at a time, and only if the rest of the house is quiet. The frequency holds at 60 Hz, lights do not flicker, and my computers and television stay happy. Out of habit, I still plug sensitive electronics into a high-quality surge protector. I have not seen anything spooky on my meter, even during long runs. Dual fuel turns out to be all about choices. On gasoline, the generator gives me the full rated output and the longest stretches between refills. During a winter outage, I ran at a sensible half load and made it through the night on one tank without heading outside in the snow. With propane, the output is a bit lower, and a standard backyard grill-sized cylinder will not last through a heavy night. For a cookout or a short planned outage, propane is incredibly convenient and cleaner to store. For a storm where I expect to run heat, a well pump and a kitchen, gasoline is what I reach for. I also plumbed a larger propane tank later on, and that changed the math. With a bigger propane supply, the generator can cruise for long stretches with almost no smell and no worry about stale fuel. Daily use details are where the design shows through. The electric start is as simple as a car, which sounds like a throwaway comment until you are outside in sleet with gloves on. The panel meter shows hours and helps me keep up with oil changes. The carbon monoxide sensor has never tripped on me because I follow the rule of outdoor use only, far from doors and windows, but I like knowing it is there. The tire size and balance let me position the unit fast, and the frame clears hoses and cords without snagging. I had a licensed electrician install a transfer switch tied to essential circuits. That single choice turned the generator from a collection of outlets into part of the house. No extension cable spaghetti, no backfeeding, and the main panel tells me exactly which circuits are live. If you are thinking about a similar setup, get a professional. It is worth it for safety alone. For performance, I tested it the way I actually live. I tracked consumption with a meter over a few weeks, both during a planned power cut while some grid maintenance happened and during a nasty winter storm. On a normal day, base load at my place is water heating, the detached garage door openers and lights, a couple of fridges, and the usual mix of phone chargers, a television, and a few lights. The generator barely idled. When the heat kicked in and the well pump started up, the engine note deepened for a second and then settled. When I intentionally pushed it, I started the table saw in the garage while the microwave was running and a space heater was on in the apartment. The saw spun up without a sputter. I do not recommend stacking heavy resistive loads just for fun, but I wanted to see where the walls were. The walls are far enough away that I have room to make mistakes and still be fine. A very specific use case that has become routine for me is winter mornings after an overnight outage. I wake up, check the fuel level, hit the start button, and flip the transfer switch. The furnace blower comes on, the well pump primes, the kitchen lights up, and the coffee maker starts. I give it a minute before turning on the electric water heater, so I am not slamming the generator with a big resistive load while everything else is waking up. The water is hot by the time I need a shower. Later in the day, I will cycle the dryer or the air compressor in the garage for a short window while other loads are low. The generator never stumbles as long as I respect the simple rule of not stacking too many monsters at once. That kind of control is easy because the machine responds predictably. Two features feel smarter than they look on a spec sheet. The idle control really does drop noise and fuel use when I am only running lights and chargers. I see it in the sound and in how slowly the fuel level moves. And the transfer switch ready 240-volt 50-ampere outlet removes the biggest source of user error. I am not figuring out complex adapters or splitting circuits in a panic. One heavy-duty cord, one connection, and the house side wiring takes over. Also, the metal fuel selector with clear travel between gasoline and propane means I cannot accidentally leave it halfway. It clicks into place and it works. There are trade-offs. It is heavy, and while the wheels help, you still need a plan for where it lives and how you move it. It is not whisper quiet. If you have close neighbors, be considerate with placement and run times. Fuel consumption at higher loads is exactly what you expect from a large generator. It is not sipping fuel. Oil changes are simple but not optional, and you will want to keep a funnel, extra oil, and spare plugs on the shelf. On propane with a small cylinder, run time can be shorter than you think under a heavy load, so plan for a larger tank if propane is your main fuel. After months of real use, this is how I see it. If you are a homeowner who needs true whole home style backup without committing to a permanent standby unit, if you want the flexibility of gasoline and propane, and if you are willing to manage loads with a bit of common sense, the DuroMax XP13000EH delivers steady, confidence-inspiring power. It is built like a tool. It starts easily in bad weather. It plays well with a transfer switch, and it does not make me feel like I am juggling extension cords in the dark. If you live in a small space or quiet is your top priority, an inverter generator might be better. If you never need to power a well pump, a furnace blower, or an electric water heater, this might be more machine than you need. For me, with a big house, a detached garage, and an apartment upstairs, it has earned its spot. If this video helped you, please subscribe to the channel and tell me in the comments how you would set up your own backup power. Thank you for watching.